Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. This is the first YouTube video I'm ever doing. Actually, decided to open an MTG channel, connect with the community, and build decks and share ideas, get feedback, share our passion, right? So, going to be going through a Gishath Deck Tech. I'm going to be talking in a way that going through cards that are a lot of common knowledge to some of the community. So if you're just starting off, feel free to slow down the video, or if you know all the cards, just feel free to speed up the video at your own pace. So talking about Gishath, my favorite commander right now. Just built him, played with him last week. Beast of a card. Been having a blast with dinos. The amount of interactions, everything is just really fun. Gishath is going to be the best commander that you could play for a dino deck. Sort of like top level reasoning for that is just it comes out and it's going to give you the most amount of value for the cost, being that you actually have it survive. There are some good contenders, but I think in terms of card draw and value, this is going to be the best engine that you have. So yeah, going over Gishath, he's a Vigilance Trample with Haste. Costs 8 mana. Not a problem for a Dino deck. We can ramp into this. I'm going to go through the whole deck. Ignore the pricing here that you see on the bottom, just because a lot of times it's wrong. In this case, I did look at TCG. The original Gishath is like $25, I think. And then the newest one, which has better art in my opinion, is $9 around-ish, 10ish, I think. So yeah, definitely ignore the pricing on some of these things. They may be off. Supposed to sync with TCG, but whatever. Vigilance Trample Haste. When he comes, deals combat damage to a player, you reveal that many cards from the top of your library. Put any number of dino creatures from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So yeah, not much to say here, but broken. If it gets through a lot of damage, always try to attack the player with the least amount of creatures, so you get all that 7 damage through and reveal 7 cards. That's the beautiful thing about it, that it has trample. Just so many good keywords, and even if you hit something and they have like a 5 toughness, you at least get 2 cards. Moving along here. Going to our artifacts, so needless to say, we have a Soul Ring that's ramped, pretty simple. Dino DNA, such a broken card with the imprint ability. You pay 1, bring it out. You pay another 1, exile something immediately as a sorcery, creature card. And then if you have the 6 that turn, you could pay and make a copy. So let's say you want to target a Consecrated Sphinx, you'll make a 6/6 Consecrated Sphinx Dinosaur with trample. But it has all Consecrated Sphinx abilities. If you don't know what Consecrated Sphinx is, basically a card that it's a 6/6 flyer, I believe. It costs 6. It's 2 blue, 4 colorless. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you draw 2 cards. It's a staple in EDH, or at least maybe not CDH, but in EDH. And then just with this, man, like you drop this, and then the next turn, you can copy something else. You could exile something else from someone else's graveyard, or even from your own if you're not using your graveyard, and make a token of that. So anything that's imprinted under this, let's say you get to a point, hopefully your opponents will get rid of this by that point, but you have like 4 bad boys imprinted under this card. You can choose to copy any card you want, as long as they're exiled under this, and as long as you control Dino DNA. So it's an amazing card. It's a problem and needs to be dealt with immediately. Lightning Graves, basic EDH stuff here. You want your dinos to have protection and haste. Skullspore Nexus and the Great Henge, 2 broken cards in green that you should definitely be playing. Skullspore Nexus being the newest one from Ixalan. It costs X less, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. And then whenever 1 or more non-token creatures you control die, so one of your dinos, you make a fungus dinosaur creature with base power and toughness, each equal to the total power of those creatures. So if you have 2 creatures die, then they're both 3/3s, you're going to make a 6/6 fungus creature, and so forth. You can easily bring this out, you know, after you play a 4-drop, even a 3-drop in many cases, depending on how much you've ramped. And then just being able to double the target creature's power until end of turn is insane. So it works if something's going to die and you want to be able to make a bigger dude just by doubling its power, or just obviously in combat when you're just doubling something's power to get through, like your Gishath or any other dinosaur. The Great Henge costing you 9 mana. It's going to cost X less again, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. This time, as opposed to the power for the Skullspore Nexus, you get ramp in the form of 2 forests, and you gain life whenever a non-creature, so basically any of your dinos that are regular, not non-tokens, come into the battlefield. You draw a card and put a +1/+1 counter on it. Let's move on to our creatures, the stuff that's bringing everything together. So trying to speed through this list on the basic ones. Kanjali's Collar is a 1-drop, makes dinosaurs cheaper. Good card. Marauding Raptor. This card is dangerous sometimes. If you have, for example, something like an Otapek, don't play it because it will die to Marauding Raptor. Your creature spells cost 1 less, but whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it's going to take 2 damage. The point of this card being that it enables all your Enrage abilities. I'll show you what Enrage is in a while, if you're not sure what that is. And then this gets buffed. So it's just a really good card in the right spots, and can activate your Enrage abilities every single time you play something. So it's really good. Otapek gives stuff haste, which is amazing, and Dinosaur spells cost 1 less to cast. The Seer is some ramp as far as Gwenna also. Gwenna only being that it makes 2 mana in any combination, and it can only be cast on creature spells, whereas Atsukan Seer is 1 mana of any color. Nice thing is that you could sack this at instant speed to return a dino from your graveyard to your hand if you feel like your exile's about to get... if your graveyard's basically about to get exiled or anything like that, or if you just want to bring something back, there's that graveyard interaction, right? And then Gwenna, whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, which is a large portion of our dinosaurs, it gets a buff, a +1/+1 counter, and you get to untap it, so you get to use that mana again. Moving on to the next line. Hunting Velociraptor. It's a 1st strike. Dinosaur spells you cast have Prowl. This card is broken. I wish that you can use a Prowl on your main phase and not have to use it after you dealt combat damage. So normally you're going to have to attack first and then cast anything big you have in your hand. So I wish you could do it vice versa, but it'd probably be too broken. But it's still an amazing card. 3-drop for 3/2, 1st strike is good stats already, and that Prowl giving everything with your dinosaur creature types with Prowl is awesome. The Sunwing, staple in dinos, 3-drop flying, 2/3. Your opponent's creatures are going to come in tapped. Amazing to get damage through. Rampaging. Oh, and let me state one thing. This list was very hard to put together because there's a lot of other dinos that I wanted to play. I actually made some changes. But there's a lot of really good dinosaurs that didn't make the list, and I basically put the best ones that I could in, and my reasons being for each one. But yeah, there's some dinos that I might show you. I think I have a maybe board here or a sideboard, things that didn't make the cut, and just cards that are just much better than them. Rampaging Ferocidon, great card, great stats, 3-drop for 3/3, menace. Players can't gain life. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, he's going to hit that creature for 1. So it enables all your dinos and basically kills any little guys they have. Any of their tokens are going to die immediately. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. I apologize. So basically, just pinging them for 1. My bad, guys. And it does not enable your enraged creatures. Yeah, my bad. Topia Stomper is a great 3-drop for vigilance, 4/4. It can't attack or block unless you control 7 or more lands, but you know, comes in, gets you a land. Basically ramp. Great Dino. Tranquil Throwback. Amazing Dino to deal with versatility of problems. Exiling target player's graveyard, destroying target artifact or enchantment, or gaining life. You just have to pay that extra green, and the beautiful thing is you could pay it up to 3 times. And it has great stats already, a 3/3 for 3. Next line over, Wayward Swordtooth, 3 drop for 5/5. Can't attack unless you have the city's blessing or block. And that's, you get it through Ascend. You could play an additional land on each of your turns. So you drop this turn 3, you have more lands in hand. You know, you're ramping pretty quickly up there. Atla Palani, Nest Tender. 4 drop for a 2/3. Amazing card, amazing card. You pay 2, tap it, you make a 0/1 egg with Defender, but whenever an egg you control dies, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. It could be any creature card. Imagine revealing a Crater Hoof or one of your most broken dinosaurs from the top and just throwing it onto the battlefield. Curious Altasaur, 4 drop, Vigilance Reach. It's going to be a good card draw engine whenever your dinos get in for damage. Goreclaw, Terror of Qualsisma, 4 drop for a 4/3. Creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less. So again, have a lot of, you guys can see the theme here. We're getting creatures that reduce our dino costs, reduce our creature costs, cards that tap for mana. We're ramping a lot of spells. We're trying to get up there as quickly as we can. So we're throwing a lot of these cards in this deck. And then it has that added bonus of whenever this attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater, which is all our dinos basically, get a +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. Trample is huge. Oops, sorry guys. Hulking Raptor, a 4 drop for a 5/3. More ramp. Pre-combat main phase. Add 2 green. And it has Ward 2. I mean, what's not great about this card? Moving on here. Knight of Stampede. Again, dino spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. You see what's going on here. We're getting there quick. Ripjaw Raptor. Enrage ability. Whenever he's dealt damage, draw a card. So, like I mentioned, with Marauding Raptor here, it comes in, you play the Ripjaw. After this comes in, next turn, whatever, same turn, it's going to hit it for 2. You're going to get to draw that card. Or whenever you block little guys, whatever the case may be. Amazing card. Next, Toski. If you play green, you have to play this card. Card draw. Indestructible. Can't be countered. A lot of our dinos have trample. They're going to get in for damage. They're coming out the gates quickly. You want to be able to draw those cards. It's an amazing card. Bonehorde Dracosaur, 5 drop for 5/5. Flying and first strike. Again, card draw. Upkeep, you're going to exile the top 2. You could play them this turn. Basically card draw. This is what red does. If you exiled a land card this way, you make a 3/1 dino. If you exiled a non-land this way, you make a treasure. What is not to love about this fucking card, bro? Like, usually you exile cards in red, and if you can't play them that turn, you just kind of dish them, or they get exiled, whatever. This stuff gives you an added bonus, even if you can't use the cards. Like, Jesus Christ. Oger, I had to throw this god into the deck because of its trample ability and getting combat damage. Revealing that many cards from the top and putting a creature or land card from among them onto the battlefield. So you deal trample, let's say you reveal 2 cards and you get 2 creatures, broken. Whenever he turns around, when it dies, you do get a land that you can add green or pay 3 to tap and transform him. That's only if you have 10 or more permanents, which is rather easy. So you gotta exile this guy. He's a problem. You can't just die. You just bring him back. Oh gosh. Moving along. Pantlaza, Sun Favored. It's gonna be the Precon Commander. Reason I don't play this one is because Galta is just better. This is a contender, like I mentioned, a good contender because of the Discover ability. Discover is just Cascade but more broken, whereas Cascade was, let's say you play something that's 5 and it has Cascade, it has to be less than 5, so it has to be converted mana cost from 4 to 0. Whereas this, you discover X, so this comes in, You discover 4 where it's its toughness, and you get to keep the card in your hand if you don't want to cast it. So it could be an instant like a Path to Exile that you want to save for later. It's just a better cascade. Discovers an amazing ability. It's quite broken if you ask me. We go with our Regisaur Alpha here next. 5-drop for a 4/4. Other dinosaurs you control have haste. The amount of times I've played this and then just play a huge fucking creature and they're like, fuck. It has haste. Also, when he comes in, you make a 3/3 dino. Amazing. Scion of Calamity. 5-drop for 5/5 with Myriad. This dinosaur is broken. Imagine hasting this. If you're not familiar with what Myriad does, whenever this creature attacks for each opponent other than defending player, you may create a token that's a copy of this creature that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. Exile the tokens at end of combat. So this attacks. You attack player A, you get to make 2 more 5/5s that attack player B and C. They get exiled, but guess what? If this deals combat damage, you destroy a target artifact or enchantment that player controls. Again, dealing with different problems on the board, in the same way that your 3-drop the Frillbreak does, right? When you pay the green mana that I showed you earlier. Trapjaw Tyrant, 5-drop for a 5/5. Whenever it's dealt damage, you exile target creature an opponent controls until he leaves the battlefield. That's the bad part about it, that it's until it leaves the battlefield. A lot of people will say this card's bad, but the way I see it, you're playing so many broken fucking dinos that they're gonna have to start dealing with shit. You know, obviously board wipes deal with everything, but there's so much card draw in this deck, guys. With Gishath, having haste coming in after a card draw, after a board wipe, and just getting more dinos onto the field. I've played with people in pods that have had like board wipes every fucking turn after mine, and for some reason my board is just still full. It's almost to the point where I'm like milling myself because of the amount of cards that I'm drawing. So like, think about dinosaurs or any creature you play in any deck this way, man. Like, okay, if they want to kill this to get their stuff back, like, fine, but it's still a problem. Like, the enrage ability with the other card that I showed you with the Raptor, it dealing the 2 to this when this comes in, and then you taking anything is really good. Then they have to deal with this, and they can't deal with something else. So Carnage Tyrant, a staple in dinos. It's a 5-drop for a 7/6. Trample, hexproof, can't be countered. What's not to love? Spot removal won't kill it. It can't be countered. Has trample, big stats, big fucking dinos. Big dino energy. Let's go. Kogla and Yadaro. You'll be surprised to know he's an ape dino turtle. What the fuck? When he comes into the battlefield, you choose one of the 2. Trample or haste, which is awesome, or if fight something you don't control. So removal there, and then if this is in your hand, you pay 4 to discard and destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. You can shuffle him into your library from your graveyard and then draw a card. So it's just something that you discard and it's just going to come back once it comes into your library from the graveyard, and you draw a card. So this card's amazing. Blow something up, draw a card, goes back into the library. Ancient Imperial Sword, 7 mana, Convoke, so a lot of the times this will cost like 4 mana. Trample and War 2, and the beautiful thing is, for each creature that convoked it, you're going to get 2+1/+1 counters on it. So you convoked with 3 creatures, guess what? 6 counters on it. You got a 12/12 with Trample and War 2. Fucking awesome. You convoke it with 4 creatures, you make this shit a 14/14. Guess what? Your Blightsteel will give it Infect if you block with it, but it's still bigger. Your any creature that's huge, this will probably be bigger. Atali, Primal Conqueror. Atali's a dino. You gotta play Atali. One of the most broken dinos ever. Everybody knows Atali. Comes in. Every player is gonna exile the top of their library until they exile an all-land card, and you can cast those spells without casting their costs. You can transform Atali to make a big old Phyrexian Elder Dinosaur 11/11. If this gets through, it's just gonna straight up kill the player. Because 10 poison will kill you. Moving on. Galta, Jesus Christ. Galta and Mavrin. This is a 7-drop for a 12/12 Dino Vampire. Trample. Whenever you attack, choose one. A lot of the times, I will choose, because you're going to be the biggest target sometimes. Your damage, your life might be low. I tend to make the vampires, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. And they have lifelink, so it's really good. But you could make that tapped and attacking XX Green Dinosaur with Trample, where X is the greatest power among other creatures you control. So it won't be a 12/12 unless you have another 12/12, but still good. Tyrannix Rex, 7-drop, 8/8. Can't be countered. Trample, Ward 4, Haste, Toxic 4. Wow, a lot of stats on this card. It's an amazing card. It can end games with 3 attacks. Toxic 4 is no joke. Just the 8 damage alone is no joke. Having Trample, being hard to spot remove because of that Ward 4, can't be countered either. It's an amazing card. Moving along here. Hope you guys like the Bad Bunny in the background. If you don't, oh well. Fucking Bad Bunny's the GOAT. Verdant Sun's Avatar, 7-drop. Whenever Verdant Sun's Avatar or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. So a little bit of life gain here. Life gain Dino. It's good to balance things out. Galta. What's not to love about freaking Galta? Galta can be your mono green commander, man. An absolutely broken card. 8 mana. Has Trample. When this comes into the battlefield, you're going to put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Guys, you get Cyclonic Rifted, and this comes back to your hand. You just play it next turn and spit all your shit back out. You do not give any fucks about Cyclonic Rift with this card. And as a commander, it's amazing, but in the deck, revealing it from the top, putting it onto the battlefield, and just spitting the rest of your shit out. Like, imagine you have a Gishath, you deal damage, you reveal 6, 7, you reveal this, you're able to play it, and then everything that you just drew, you throw onto the battlefield. That's disgusting. Come on, guys. Moonshaker Cavalry, an 8-drop. A lot of you guys have heard of this card. It's very often compared to Craterhoof Behemoth because of its ability. It's a 6/6 with flying. When he comes in, all your creatures are going to gain flying and +X/+X, where X is the number of creatures you control. So this is an absolute game ender. If you can't imagine why. Polyraptor. It's a 8-drop. Has Enrage. Whenever he's dealt damage, you're going to make a token of him. That's a copy. And it's a 5/5. This actually combos off with another card in the deck, but it's not a combo that you want to do because it'll end the game in a draw, basically, because you're not able to stop the combo unless you're someone or you are able to kill one of the pieces. But you could make like infinite Polyraptors. Problem is that it'll go on for infinite because you're not able to stop it. But if you are able to stop it, that's game. Unless, if you have haste, it's game. But if they have a board wipe next turn, alright, sucks to suck. But the problem is stopping the combo, right? And that card combos with the card that I showed you that deals 2 damage to a dinosaur when it comes in. So you play this Polyraptor, you have that 2-drop. The Polyraptor is going to hit for 2. It's going to make another Polyraptor. Then that Polyraptor is going to get hit for 2, and so forth. And it's going to keep going on an eternal chain unless you're able to stop and kill one of the 2 creatures, unfortunately. Sorry, not one of the 2, actually. Unless you're able to kill the red creature, because Polyraptors will just keep stacking. Wakening Sun's Avatar. It is Dino Board Wipe. Comes in, if you cast it from your hand, that's the important part. From your hand, destroy all 9 non-dinosaur creatures. So your opponents are fucked. It's a one-sided board wipe with all your dinos out. It's a Talpa, amazing dino, 8 mana, flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, indestructible. It's a 4/8. Look at those stats. Can't kill it with destroy spells. Has vigilance, double strike, flying, trample. Like, Jesus Christ. Apex Altasaur, 9 mana for a 10/10. Has that beautiful enrage ability, so you can do this up to 3 times. Check it out. Great card. He comes in, it fights one creature you don't control. Let's say you kill a 3/3. When that 3/3 hits it, it's going to trigger Enrage. So when Enrage triggers, it's going to fight up to one target creature you don't control. And that stacks. So he comes in, it fights a 3/3. The 3/3 hits it. Whenever it's dealt damage, it fights up to one target creature you don't control. So it fights something else. Enrage, again, you fight something else. You could basically fight as many things as you want until this Altasaur dies. So it's 10 toughness, gives you a good opportunity to kill a chunky amount of things, but it's not forever, right? Zakama, this is the other commander that you could play for the deck, but I still recommend Jesus Christ, I'm forgetting my commander's name. Gishath, sorry. This commander is good because of untapping all your lands and being able to do that 3 damage, destroying stuff, or gaining 3 life, but it's only when it comes into the battlefield. It's not like when it attacks, you know? So I get the eternal value in having like those abilities to do stuff, but it's not as good as Gishath. It's not gonna draw you cards like Gishath does. Doesn't have haste. So Gishath is just overall a way better card. Way better card. Apex Devastator. You have to play a Devastator when you're playing Dinos just because of the Cascade 4 times. It's ridiculous. Cascading 4 times on different instances is broken. So if you're not aware, I think I explained it already, but Cascade, this is a 10 drop. So when you Cascade, you're going to reveal from the top until something that costs less. So let's say it's a Dino that costs 9. Boom. You Cascade again. Another Dino that costs maybe 7. Boom. Again. 3rd time. Another Dino that costs 9. Boom. Or something that costs 3. Boom. They're all separate instances. So that's the great part. Dinos are done. Moving on down the list. Enchantments. Aura Shards. Broken enchantment. You get to play it in Naya in these colors. Whenever a creature comes into play under your control, destroy target artifact or enchantment. When I built this deck, I really wanted it to be just able to deal with a lot of different problems. This is very far from a precon deck, okay? But it's also quite far from a CDH deck. I would consider this deck still a casual deck. And whoever thinks it's not, they can go cry about it. This is a really nice power level, but CDH is a completely different format, man. Like, those decks are consistently churning out wins, turns 3 to 4, if not turns 2 in many cases. And games often do not get dragged on at all. So I would consider this deck in the realm of non-CDH, like a power level, maybe 9-10. Just because it's really fucking good. But it, like, casual can still be 9 or 10, guys. Like, this is a whole other topic for discussion, but I believe, like, precon decks, sometimes precon decks are really good. They could be like 6, 7. They're definitely not like budget $20 or like $10 decks that are like power levels 5 and under. But CDH is another monster. If you want to discuss power levels for CDH, that's like a different scale I use. Don't compare like your power level 10 is your CDH deck and your power level 8 is your casual. Like, no, I think there's 2 different scales. CDH decks can be ranked on power levels like 1 through 10, just like casual decks can be ranked 1 through 10. Let me know what you guys think about that. That's my sort of train of thinking. Descendant's Path, it's a 3-drop enchantment. Beginning of your upkeep, you're going to reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card that shares a creature type with a creature you control, so a Dino, you could cast it without paying its mana cost. Broken. Garruk's Uprising, 3-drop. We all know Garruk's Uprising. It comes into the battlefield. Sorry, my throat's getting dry. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you draw a card. Creatures you control have trample. It's amazing. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield in your control, you draw a card. Rhythm of the Wild. Creature spells you control cannot be countered. And then it has your creatures, non-token ones, have Riot. So they either come in with haste or a +1/+1 counter. Great enchantment. This new enchantment, welcome to Jurassic Park. This side, you know, if your opponents are playing a lot of artifacts, you want to play this. The first level saga, for each opponent up to one target non-creature artifact, so any sort of soul ring or rock, becomes a 0/4 wall artifact creature with defender for as long as you control this saga. You deem them basically useless as soon as this comes in. Even if they kill the saga, there's still going to be 0/4 walls, so it basically gets rid of all those rocks per se. And then the second level of the saga will make a 3/3 dinosaur for yourself with trample, and it has haste. And then the third level is going to destroy all their rocks basically, because you turn them into walls. And then you exile and transform. It becomes a legendary land that taps green for each dinosaur you control, so a lot of potential there. And then each dinosaur card in your graveyard has escape. Escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. So you do have to exile those 3 other cards, any cards from your graveyard. But escape basically lets you play cards from your graveyard. So reanimation, but you have to pay their costs. Moving on, more enchantments. The last one actually, Greater Good. 4-drop. Sack a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, then discard 3 cards. You obviously want to sack a creature that's about to die. Preferably, in response to a board wipe, you can sack like 3-4 of your creatures and draw a shit ton of cards. And you can, you know, stack those abilities. So potentially this can draw you like a ridiculous amount of cards, 20 plus cards in many cases, like the turn of a board wipe, or if something's going to get spot removed, you just sack it in response, sending it to the graveyard, like if it were to get exiled. This is also great against Farewell. If you have this out, they choose everything in response. You sack all your creatures, draw cards before they hit the exile pile, and they hit the graveyard instead. If the Farewell player does choose graveyards, it will get exiled anyway, but point being that you can draw a shit ton amount of cards. There's actually a combo with this card. I wouldn't say a combo, but the potential with like just one card being able to draw a lot of cards is with if you have this and Galta out, the one that when it ETBs, it puts all dinos from your hand on, or all creatures from your hand onto the graveyard. I mean, from your hand onto the battlefield. You could basically play Galta, and if you have Skull Spore Nexus out, sorry. So you could play Galta. I mean, you could play, Jesus Christ, I'm confusing you guys. You could play Galta, okay? In response, you can pump it up by paying 2 and tapping it with that artifact I showed you, Skull Spore Nexus, doubling its power, and then sacking Galta to draw 24 cards. And from those 24 cards, you could respond to the stack. So this trigger will still be on the stack. When you sack it, your Galta dies, but you get to put any amount of creature cards from the 24 cards you drew onto the battlefield, which is fucking disgusting. So yeah, that's a thing, and you can sort of do that if you're in Magical Christmas Land. Moving on to the instance here, some very core removal in white is Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares. Exile, don't need to explain much there. Worldly Tutor is going to get you any creature card, reveal it, and put it on top. Everybody knows Worldly Tutor. Heroic Intervention to protect yourself and your permanents. To protect your permanents from board wipes that destroy. So you give them indestructible and hexproof until end of turn. Great card. Deflecting Swat. Hopefully you have your commander out and you don't have to pay anything for this, but you can retarget a Force of Will. You can retarget a counter spell for anything else that you have, or just any other spot removal spell. Deflecting Swat is an amazing card. Moving on to more of our land suite here. We have our Ancient Tomb. You guys don't have to play Ancient Tomb. It is a pricey card. But it will help you ramp quicker. It adds 2 colorless. We go through all our so we're playing basically all the fetches that we could. I won't spend too much time here. We're playing some Pain lands. The Seiju, the Promenade is a staple in Commander because you're always going to hopefully have 2 or more opponents unless you're playing 1v1. Exotic Orchard, your Command Tower, Cavern of Souls, so your dinos can be countered, or your creatures, but basically you choose dinos with this. Your Tri-Land there that you can fetch for. Keswick Wolf Run, great utility land to pump your stuff up. Mosswort Bridge, I'm only playing 1 hideaway card because I don't like stuff that comes in tapped, so I just play 1, but it's a great card if your creatures have total 10 power or more. You could play the exile card without paying its cost when the hideaway came in. Reliquary Tower, staple in Commander. Reflecting Pool, same. And then just your shocks. Spectator Seating, that 2 or more opponent clause again. And then more fetches. We're playing Temple of False God as well. Easy to get up to 5 lands, so this is going to ramp you quicker. So our ramp spells basically are here. A lot of our sorceries are our ramp spells. Explore. You could play an additional land this turn and draw a card. Farseek. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card. Put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Nature's Lore. Search for a forest card. What I love about Nature's Lore and this card 3 visits is that I could get a forest card, so those could be shocks. And then Rampant Growth. So a lot of ramp here, a lot of ramp, guys. We want to be getting there quick. Cultivate, more ramp. Scry Shout Claim. I love Scry Shout Claim because they come in untapped. And they're forest cards, so you could get 2 shocks that are in green. Oh, actually, there's only 1 in green. You could just get a basic forest and then 1 shock. In these colors, you can only play the Temple Garden. Oh, sorry, the Stomping Ground as well. Yeah, you could get both of them. Rishkar's Expertise. Card draw, as if we didn't have enough. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. You may cast a spell with mana value 5 or less from your hand without paying its cost. Last March of the Ents. This is a 8-drop. It can't be countered. Draw cards equal to the greatest toughness among creatures you control. Then put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So this is very similar to a Galta. Getting all that card draw. And then being able to put them onto the battlefield, all creatures, is nutty. I mean, these cards are nutty, man. This deck is amazing. I'm not trying to, suck my own ass here, but it's just the card draw in green is amazing. Same thing with Majestic Genesis. Paying 8 mana, revealing the top X, where X is the greatest mana value of a commander you own on the battlefield or in the command zone. So you don't even have to have the commander out. You just reveal 8, basically. With Gishath, and then you could put any number of permanent cards from among them onto the battlefield. So any lands, any artifacts, any creatures, any permanents, guys. Amazing card. Moving on to our maybe board. All right, so the deck tech is done at this point. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that blah 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 stuff. I will be doing more deck techs. I find this really fun. I want to bring ideas to the community and hear from you guys, see what other cool stuff you guys are cooking up. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment, send it to a friend if you liked it. I also have a meme page on TikTok, which I'll link in the description. I will link the deck tech in the description as well. Let me know what you guys think. Talk to me in the comments. I'll respond and we can cook together. So maybe board. There's like a shit ton of cards thrown in here. These are things that didn't make the cut, man. But a lot of good cards. Just more ramp. The Light of Halflink is ramp, but it can't be countered. The card you cast, right? Legendary spell like your commander. Boros Charm sort of serves like heroic intervention with that indestructibility, but it gives something double strike as well, which is really good. Swiftfoot Boots, Eldorami's Call, which Worldly Tutor is just better. Realm Walker, which can become a dinosaur. Just more ramp here. Domri was a planeswalker that I really wanted to play, but there's no space for it. Beast Within, just good removal. Up the Beanstalk, good card. Shadow in the Warp, good enchantment, making your stuff cost 2 less. Somber World Sage, we have a Gwenna, but Somber World Sage is another option. Chroma's Will, actually, I will be throwing into the deck. I gotta find something to cast because this is a game ender. And then this card's it's good, but it didn't make the cut. Decimate is another really good card, destroying a lot of stuff. Doors of the Rin, another amazing artifact. Whenever you attack, you scry 2, then you may reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you put it onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. And then ignore the other part because you're not really gonna have a dwarf or an elf. Savage Order, a great sorcery. You get to sacrifice a creature with power 4 or greater, so any one of your dinos, and then you search for another dinosaur creature card and put it into the battlefield. It gains indestructible until your next turn. Great card, but there was just better cards to put in. Rampaging Raptor, Trample Haste, gets +2/+2 on the end of turn. If you pay 3, whenever it deals damage to an opponent, it deals damage to target planeswalker. Kind of irrelevant, guys. A lot of these cards are very situational, so there was just much better cards to play. Guardian Project, I do want to make space for. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control, or a creature card in your graveyard, you draw a card. So you're always going to get a card draw off of this because Commander, you only play one of each card. This card basically tutors for a Dino when it comes in. Deals 1 damage. Whenever a Dino comes in, it deals 1 damage to each creature. So enables Enrage. Return of the Wild Speaker, some card draw. Temple Altasaur, preventing damage from a source and just making it 1. This Dino's cool, but it's not really that good. Just deals 3 damage here and there, and then it's a 6/6. Yadaro, again, it's just a big Trample Haster with Cycle. Tarask, I cut this card. I had it in before, but I just put the Moonshaker in as a non-dinosaur, which is just much better. This card's good, but like, it's just a big dude at the end of the day with Ward 10. Like, okay, it has Ward 10 and it could kill some stuff. Like, yeah, it's cool, but there's better cards. And then Galta, again, just a big dude. Sometimes you just don't want to play big dudes that are big dudes just because they're big dudes. You want to play cards with value, right? So, all right, guys, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Jonathan. Don't even have a name for this channel yet as I'm recording this, but it was a good time. Hope you stuck around to the end. This was actually very long, 42 minutes. Yeah, make sure you speed this video up. Too late to tell you that. All right, guys, take care. See you on the next one.